In the past, when we looked around, our world was filled with so many wonders and miracles, and we experienced so much joy. But today, we are in the throes of a pandemic, an unparalleled crisis, which is causing us poorer mental health, manifesting in undue worry, panic, stress, uncertainty, evictions, remote learning, travel restrictions, limits on gathering, depression, anxiety, unemployment, general misconduct, causing a spike in infection and an increase in the amount of cases of COVID-19, more deaths due to COVID-19, the misery and loss endured, and fear, to name a few. I hope you are all well and have embraced the situation as your next normal. It is not always easy to readjust to something that is new and different. Now more than ever, we need to support each other so that we are and stay mentally fit to face a future that is filled with uncertainty. We will not return immediately to what we knew in the past, but we will be more watchful. These days in particular, we feel the effects of quarantining, isolation, and social distancing. And let me give you some insight into what that might be for some of you. Some people get cabin fever, resulting from long confinement or being indoors, and irritability, boredom, restlessness, decreased motivation, hopelessness, and even difficulty concentrating, sleepiness, sleeplessness, difficulty waking up, lethargy, distrust of people around you, lack of patience, persistent sadness or depression. All these may exist. Now, cabin fever can occur anytime you feel isolated or disconnected from the outside world. People can experience a series of emotions or symptoms when they are confined to their homes for extended periods of time. Feelings of isolation and loneliness are more likely to occur in times of social distancing and self-quarantining during a pandemic. This succession of symptoms can be difficult to manage without proper coping techniques. Are any of you grappling with this? If so, how do you cope? I suggest the following. To cope, you must find meaningful ways to engage your brain and occupy your time. Spend some time outdoors. This will help your cognitive function, improve your mood, alleviate stress, boost feelings of well-being. If you can't go outside, try opening your windows to let the outdoor breeze in. Grow some small plants on the windowsill or in the gallery. Keep a sense of structure. Try to create a daily routine that consists of work or house projects, meal times, workout time, and even downer time. If you have no structure, this can cause disruptions to your eating times, your sleeping times, and activities. But if you have a structure, you can set yourself some goals to accomplish during the course of the day. Maintain a social life. What am I telling you? So you can't go to Movie Town or Zanzibar to meet with your friends for lunch or dinner, but you can still meet up with them, just in a different way. Use Zoom or Skype to chat with your friends. Connecting with others who are in a similar situation can also help you feel that you are not alone. Sharing your thoughts, emotions, and challenges with others can help you realize that what you are feeling is normal. Connecting with others may even help you find creative solutions to an issue you're grappling with. Use your time in isolation to reconnect with your creative activities that you put on hold because your life got too busy. When last did you play your guitar or your piano? What about the painting you started and never completed? Is there a recipe you've always wanted to try but never had the time? Also, keeping your mind occupied and engaged may help you ward off feelings of boredom or restlessness and make the time pass more quickly. Carve out some me time. Give yourself time away from others to relax. Find a quiet place to read a book, to meditate, or put some headphones in to listen to some music. Go and take a sweat. Exercises cause your brain to release endorphins. These neurochemicals can boost your mood and overall feeling of well-being. If you can't go outside, you can do some push-ups, some lunges and some squats inside. Chill out, just relax. Not every minute of every day you spend at home has to be planned. Give yourself some time to rest. Look for constructive ways to relax. You can do some relaxation exercises, some deep breathing, mindfulness. All of these may help you maintain your emotional health and balance feelings of isolation or frustration. Now, we must stay at home so that we do not contaminate others or get contaminated ourselves. Makes sense, doesn't it? When we must obey the stay-at-home order, that inner voice that we all have, it's called the inner critic, takes us to places we do not wish to go. We think about where the next meal is coming from. We think about the situations or things we have no control over. We think about who are we leaving the children with at home when we must go to work? Who is going to supervise them? We think about the myriad of things that we must face, such as, how are my parenting skills being used to shape my children better in COVID time? Am I exhibiting any psychological symptoms? And am I recognizing any psychological symptoms being exhibited in my children? What about my family life? What about the relationship I have with my husband, who I am seeing more now because he must stay at home? Are we getting along any better? Hasn't this pandemic dissolved entire groups of relationships? No avenue, no backyard lines, no beaches, no river lines, no doubles, no KFC, and by doing so, depleted the pleasures that make up and sustain human life and human health? Today, I want to address you on 3 areas so that you can receive solid guidance and support, which you can use so that you can cope a little better with life as it presents now. These areas are: 1, is working at home working for you? And because of constraints of time on this program, I wish to refer you to our website where this conversation can be found: www.psychologytt.org. It took place on Sunday, the 6th of June, 2021, and the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists were addressed by Damali Jeremiah, industrial and organizational psychologist. The information there is very invaluable for us all. I have sent the link to your HR department for dissemination to you. Please have a look. The other area is parenting during COVID-19 pandemic and then anxiety. Let us talk about the children who are now at home with us. Let's take a deep breath to put things in perspective. What is some advice we can give our children to help them stay focused on their tasks at hand, their school, their chores? Creating a routine at home is really beneficial for children to help them stay focused. Children should have a set wake-up time and bedtime, just as if they were going to school. Also keep meal times consistent. Have scheduled time for schoolwork, chores, exercise, relaxation, and family time. Consider posting this schedule in a prominent location at home. Having a schedule will help your children adjust to their next normal for now. Older children can help to create this schedule. Of course, parents might have to check on their children routinely to make sure that they're sticking to the schedule. As you know, children can switch screens very easily as you parents enter their rooms. We all have to stay physically distanced, but not socially distant. Your children must stay connected with their friends and loved ones virtually. Explore with them how to best stay connected with others. Some children may be experiencing increased negative emotions such as stress, anxiety, anger, frustration, or grief. These emotions need an outlet, and parents may notice some changes such as increased behavioral issues in younger children, or more moodiness or lethargy from older children and teenagers. On the other hand, other children might adjust easily to all of these changes. But what we have been hearing is that many children are not responding well to online learning. Some are really missing that physical contact with their peers. Others cannot keep up with the speed at which information is given to them, and they are lagging behind. Some do not have the right atmosphere at home, or the requisite tablets, internet connection, or computers to pay full attention to their teachers. We can assure them that this is only for a time, and that time is now, until COVID-19 is brought under some measure of control. What are some tips or advice on how we can encourage our children to constructively share their feelings with us? At this point, it's not should we talk to our children about COVID-19. It's what should we talk with them about? Parents should keep lines of communication open with their children and give them permission to talk about their feelings by asking questions and letting them know that it is okay to share their experience. Helpful questions can include, what worries do you have about COVID-19? How are you doing with all of the changes to your routine? What changes have been the hardest for you? Is there anything that you like about the changes to your routine? What do you miss about socializing in person, going to school, or participating in activities? Now, what is the right way for adults to respond to children who do share their feelings, maybe negative, about a potentially whole new way of doing life? Parents, you must create an opening for your children to share their feelings. Listen to them and validate their feelings and experience. Parents, you can also acknowledge that adjusting to all of these changes can be difficult. There might be an element of grief that your child or teen is experiencing due to the loss of connection with others, friends, family members, teachers, and coaches, not being able to participate in extracurricular activities, and the loss of opportunities. You as parents can share your own challenges with the changes to routine and how you are managing these changes. By letting your children know that parents are adjusting too, this can give them permission to talk about these things. You should be mindful to do this in a helpful way in order to demonstrate that it's okay to have and talk about difficult feelings and to model helpful ways of handling this. Be sure not to overburden your children with adult problems or instill feelings of guilt though. Now, how much detail should parents go into when children start asking about the actual COVID-19, the virus, the sickness? Parents can take their lead from children. If a child or teen asks the question or asks for information, it is usually appropriate to answer and provide information. Take into account your child's developmental level when doing this. Teens are likely to be aware of the news, ask more informed questions, and want more detailed information. In Trinidad and Tobago, we get videos from PAHO WHO, which are good for teens, and these can also be found on YouTube. Keep information simple for younger children, and you may want to buy a book from Amazon on coronavirus for the little ones. How do children feed off of their environment? That is, the way adults are acting around them. These adults are you parents. Children definitely pick up on the stress level in their environment. We are not only dealing with stress in the home due to all of the changes and health concerns, but also community and even global anxiety due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Parents should be mindful on how their conversations and behaviors might impact their children. Adults should take measures to quell their own anxiety and manage stress, which will reduce the overall stress level at home and provide a good role model for your children in managing stress and anxiety. Is the child really struggling with this adjustment? If a child is really struggling with this adjustment, what can parents and guardians do? Children with prior anxiety might be especially anxious during this time of increased societal anxiety. Take your child's anxiety seriously and don't minimize their feelings or symptoms. If your child or teen is having difficulty functioning day to day, seems very tired or withdrawn, can't control worries, is having trouble sleeping or eating, these can be indicators that your child is having significant difficulty adjusting and might benefit from professional help. Many counselors are now offering virtual services through phone or video platforms. Consult with the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists for referrals or go to findcareTT.com. I repeat, findcareTT.com. You can also limit news and media exposure regarding COVID-19, as repeated exposure to this information can heighten anxiety. Now, how can I gently check in to see how my child is coping? Be proactive in conversations you're having with your children. Some children may come to their parents wanting to talk, but others will need their parents to create space for discussion. Check in with your children and ask how they're doing. You can also create opportunities for your child to express himself or herself through activities like playing and drawing. This can help them communicate any negative feelings they may be experiencing in a safe and supportive environment. It is likely that children's emotions will change regularly, and you need to show them that's okay. Listen to their concerns, speak kindly, and reassure them. Children often take their emotional cues from the adults in their lives. So manage your own emotions and remain calm and open. Now, my child's behavior has changed since they stopped going to school. They have become withdrawn and won't talk to me. Is there anyone who can help? The pandemic, the lockdown, and school closures have left many children and young people feeling lonely, isolated, and stressed, especially teenagers. If your child is not open to talking to you, this doesn't make you a bad parent. Again, seek professional help. What are some good ways to manage stress these days concerning the COVID-19 pandemic for adults and children? Engage in self-care. Keep a routine. Get exercise. Spend time outdoors. Get enough sleep and eat a healthy diet. Spend family time together by playing games, going for a walk or riding in your yards. You can also prepare a meal together. Get creative and ask everyone to contribute ideas about how to spend enjoyable time together. Be patient. Keep things in perspective. Though all of our lives have been altered quite substantially, this is a temporary situation. And with the advent of the vaccine, we will come through this crisis very well. Focus on the things you and your loved ones can control, instead of what is out of your control. For example, minimizing physical contact with others, washing hands appropriately, and isolating yourself if you are sick. Learn relaxation and stress management techniques, such as deep breathing, mindfulness, and meditation. My child has struggled to study from home and is worried about being very far behind their classmates. How can I help and reassure them? Many children have struggled to continue learning during this time of school closure. As they return to school, they may be fearful about facing this, especially in comparison to other children. During this time, it is important that parents prioritize their children's well-being and adjustment to the next normal over their learning outcomes. When children feel loved and supported, they are going to learn better. You can also talk to your child's teacher about the support systems they have in place to help children who have fallen behind during this time of school closure. How can we fight boredom at home in the context of social distancing, recommendations. A schedule can be very helpful in fighting boredom. Help your children or teens figure out a new project to work on, for example. Build a door kennel. Take this opportunity you now have at home to complete home projects. Children can clean out their rooms by identifying items for donation, such as clothes that no longer fit or toys that are not being used. Help your children figure out how they can continue to participate in activities that they enjoy which have been cancelled. For example, practice basketball skills in the driveway. Do a little concert at home now, everybody. Take virtual music lessons if you can. Limit social media and use of devices, but allow your children to stay connected with friends and loved ones. Parents, remember, we are in control of all devices. I repeat, we are in control of all devices. Those are some tips for your children. Now, the third area is anxiety. As you know, anxiety is driven by uncertainty. There is so much uncertainty right now, from the vaccine rollout to business places reopening, to the new rules and regulations of the workplace, uncertainty to the virus and the variants themselves. More evidence is presented to us every day that vaccines keep us and people around us safe. But there are lingering questions about how long immunity lasts, how susceptible our children are to COVID-19, and when they will get vaccinated. How are we going to navigate these layers of uncertainty? Use the following techniques. Now, these are techniques for coping with uncertainty now and always. Learning to cope with uncertainty. Many of us make use of worrying as a tool. We believe it will help us find a solution or prepare us for the worst. So you have to identify and tune out unproductive worrying, because chronic worrying robs you of enjoyment in the present. It saps your energy and keeps you up at night. But there are healthier ways to cope with uncertainty, and this begins with adjusting your mindset. You must focus on controlling those things that are under your control. Challenge your need for certainty. Learn to better tolerate, even embrace the inevitable uncertainty of life. Reduce your anxiety and stress levels. And how do you do this? You take action over the things you can control. So instead of worrying about the uncontrollable, try to refocus your mind on taking action over the aspects that are within your control. For example, if you've lost a job, you still have control over how much energy you put into searching for online work or for work online, sending out your resumes, or networking with your friends. By focusing on the aspects of the problem you can control, you will switch from ineffective worrying and ruminating to active problem solving. You must actively deal with your emotions. When you can do nothing else about a situation, actively face up to your emotions, even the most negative and fearful ones. So when circumstances are out of your control, it's easy to become overwhelmed by fear and negative emotions. But by suppressing your emotions, that will only increase stress and anxiety and make you more vulnerable to depression. So by allowing yourself to experience uncertainty in this way, you can help yourself reduce your stress, better come to terms with your circumstances, and find a sense of peace as you deal with your challenges. Now, how do you challenge your need for certainty? You excessively seek assurance and reassurance from others. How do you do that? We repeatedly ask friends or family, have we made the right decision? We may seek advice, expert advice, in an effort to remove uncertainty from our lives. Or we may do some research online to find out. We micromanage people. We refuse to delegate tasks, whether at home or at work. And we might try to force people around us to change to make their behavior more predictable to us. We procrastinate, not making decisions. We hope to avoid the uncertainty that follows that by making the decision. We find ways to delay or postpone or even avoid situations altogether to prevent bad things from happening. That's how we procrastinate. And we repeatedly check things. We call or text our family and friends over and over again to make sure they're safe. We check and recheck emails, texts, we double check any list that we have created to see if anything is missing. All these have predictability on the future. Now, how to challenge these behaviors? What are the advantages and disadvantages of certainty? How much can you be absolutely certain about in life? Do you assume that bad things will happen just because an outcome is uncertain? What is the likelihood they will? We must remember that life can change in a moment's notice or at a moment's notice. Anything can happen unexpectedly. But that's not always a bad thing. Huh? What about a new job offer? Was that expected? That is unexpected and not a bad thing. So having to face uncertainty in life can also help us learn to adapt, overcome challenges, and it can help us to grow as a person. The truth is, no matter how much you try to plan and prepare for every possible outcome, life will find a way of surprising you. And all that does is really fuel worry and anxiety, when we try to find out things. So we have to learn to accept uncertainty. So uncertainty is with us every day. When we cross a street, are we certain we're going to reach the other side? So we must accept doubt and uncertainty as a part of your faith. How do you challenge your need for certainty? You can begin to let go of negative behaviors. You reduce your stress and worry. You free up time and energy for more practical purposes. And you learn to accept uncertainty. You identify your uncertainty triggers. A lot of uncertainty is self-generated, people, through excessive worrying. And it also comes from external sources as well. Right? When you go on social media, sometimes you might be looking up rumors, fake news. Sometimes you might be talking to your anxious friends, and all of that fuels your uncertainty. So we hear the bad news, and hear what we do. We panic buy things. We follow that crowd. So this happened to a lot of us at the beginning of the pandemic. Do you remember? So by recognizing your triggers, you can take action to avoid or reduce your exposure to them. Recognize when you feel the need for certainty. Notice when you start to feel anxious and fearful about a situation. Begin to worry about the what ifs in life. You might notice the tension in your neck or shoulders, shortness of breath, a headache coming on. Take a moment to pause and recognize that you are craving reassurance. You want something that's guaranteed. Allow yourself to feel the uncertainty. Instead of engaging in futile efforts to gain control over the uncontrollable, let yourself experience the discomfort of uncertainty. Like emotions, if you allow yourself to feel fear and uncertainty, they will eventually pass. So focus on the present moment and your breathing, and allow yourself to simply feel and observe the uncertainty that you are experiencing. So you let go. You allow yourself, all you can do is to let go and accept the uncertainty as part of your life. You shift your attention. Focus on soluble worries. Refocus your mind on the present moment and your own breathing. Accepting uncertainty doesn't mean not having a plan. That simply means it's always good to have some savings put aside for the unguarded moment, isn't it? So it doesn't mean you don't have a plan. So what you do, you focus on the present. And the surest way to avoid worrying about the future is to focus on the present. Instead of trying to predict what might happen, switch your attention to what is happening now. Stay fully connected to the present. So you get away from any negative assumptions and predictions running through your mind. You manage your stress and anxiety. Take steps to reduce the overall stress and anxiety levels. And this could help you reduce the negative thoughts. Find inner calm. And that will help you to cope with uncertainty better in your life. You get up, get moving, work out, exercise, take a shower, get dressed. Cook your meals, eat a healthy diet. Make time for relaxation. Get plenty of sleep. And make daily virtual dates with the people you love. That's how you get over your uncertainty. Right. Now, we go on to anxiety. What is anxiety? When you experience nervousness, apprehension, which is fear, uneasiness, worry, and self-doubt, that may or may not be associated with real life stressors. The problem arises when the magnitude of our anxiety response is out of proportion with how uncertain things truly are. Anxiety is a feeling of unease, such as worry or fear, that can be mild or severe. Anxiety is also a normal and protective emotion we experience. Yes, anxiety is an organic coping mechanism for a lack of control and information. When we don't have enough information about the future, when things are uncertain, it makes perfect sense to be anxious. Amelia Aldao, PhD, a clinical psychologist in New York City, she said, anxiety makes us worry about the future so that we can plan for scenarios. It increases our vigilance of our surroundings and engages the fight or flight response in case we need to defend ourselves physically. She continued, it's perfectly normal to feel anxious when things are uncertain. So we must understand appropriate levels of stress and anxiety to a perceived threat versus behavior indicative of a disorder. For example, you may feel worried and anxious about having to go to the doctor, awaiting the results of your COVID-19 test, writing an examination, doing an interview for a job, getting vaccinated for COVID-19, presenting at COSTAT's webinar. The anxiety I feel about the above. How does that compare to the anxiety that I feel that is so intense, lasting unduly long, and is too frequent now? We must be able to discern the difference. We can become anxious about the uncertainty that pervades, and this can take a heavy toll on our mental and physical health. It can send our stress levels soaring and trigger our anxiety and increase the risk for heart disease and stroke and panic attacks. The secret to getting ahead today is to focus all of your energy, not on fixing and fighting the old and unchangeable, but on building and growing something new and different. Here's what you do. Let me show you the slides. Now, anxiety. Does anxiety look like that for you? What does it feel like? Is this you when you're anxious? How does your body tell you that you're feeling anxious? Do you have short breath, a pounding heart, tense or sore muscles, trouble sleeping, excessive sweating, trouble concentrating, feelings of tiredness or being very awake, dizziness, cold chills, shaking, chronic fatigue, body pains, tingling, nausea, a racing heart. The symptoms of anxiety are excessive or persistent worrying that occurs more often than not, hyperarousal, including palpitations and sweating, muscle tension and restlessness, headaches, irritability, difficulty focusing, sleep disturbances, too much or too little, nausea and abdominal cramping. How do you manage anxiety? First, you must understand appropriate levels of stress and anxiety in response to a perceived threat versus behavior indicative of a disorder. Create a routine and stick to it. Exercise every day to protect your mental health. Trust the guidance of trusted sources. Keep the threat of the virus in perspective. Feel good about being an upright citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. How so? You must unwind, whether it's taking a bath, baking, or even cleaning. A relaxing activity can give you some time to think through and get through your feelings. Establish connections. Nourish your spirit. You might want to say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Go for a walk. Now, being outside does wonders for anxiety. Pay attention to the songs around you. Feel the wind against your skin, the smells around you. Stay in the moment by focusing on your senses and your environment. Wish other people happiness. Randomly wish someone to be happy. Look up, not just from the screen in front of you. Let the cosmos remind you that life is bigger than your worries. Set an intention. How do you do that? Setting an intention can help you focus and remind you why you're doing something. Do a guided meditation or mindfulness practice, and I want you to just check out mindfulness practice on the internet. You can doodle or color. Now, set aside some minutes to doodle now. Invest in an adult coloring book. This will have the perk of accomplishing something without having to face a blank page, you know. Now, turn household tasks into a mental break. Instead of obsessing over what you have to do, your to-do list, just relax yourself in the moment. Dance while you're washing your wares. Take 5 slow breaths while you wait for the microwave to stop. And daydream when you're folding up your clothes now. Journal now. The next thing. The act of putting pen to paper can help you soothe the mind. And it can also tame those swirling thoughts that you may have. Try a gratitude journal now by simply jotting down the 3 best things that happened today. Now, here's the next one. Pause at stoplights. What that means is, if you're driving, while driving, sit upright and still and take 4 slow, deep breaths. Now, the real benefits come when your anxiety and stress feel like they're taking up the whole car. Stop and breathe 4 slow, deep breaths. Brew on it. I don't mean take a Caribbean brew. I mean that when you're making your coffee, smell the coffee. Watch the steam from the cup and feel the heat of the cup against your hand. Focus on one thing at a time. Leave your phone behind. You don't have to carry your phone with you to the bathroom, the toilet, outside. No, leave it behind. Try switching out of all your social media accounts now. You have to check this email, you have to check Twitter, you have to check this, you have to check. Take a break from that. Unplug. Is this difficult to do? The bottom line is, try not to focus on the things you can't change right now. Instead, focus on the things you can control. We can't stop hurricanes or bad news or pandemics or the clock, but it helps to focus on what you can control, and that is yourself. So the takeaway in all of this is, I want you to take this with you. Overcoming worry and nervousness is simply a matter of modifying or changing your behavior, your thoughts, and your lifestyle. Change your thoughts, your behavior, and your lifestyle. When you do that, you will know that anxiety does not control your life. So today, I addressed some issues that might have affected you economically, socially, and psychologically. As I close, I ask that you reflect on this tumultuous year and how it has transformed our lives, our lives in so many ways. It has impacted on the family unit, relationships and friendships. It has impacted on coping with bereavement, disruption of children's lives due to school closures. It took a heavy toll on our mental and physical health and well-being due to the loneliness and economic disruption we experienced. Going forward, it is absolutely necessary to look after your mental health and well-being by not getting rid of all of your painful thoughts, feelings, or life circumstances, as this is impossible. But the goal is to change your response to them starting today. Remember, anxiety does not control your life. Thank you very much.